Language has always been an integral part of human communication. While many languages have different writing systems, there's one that dominates them all, and that's the Latin alphabet. Just like animals and languages, writing systems evolve over time, and Latin is no exception.
But like pretty much everything else, the Latin script isn't perfect. Over time, we've dropped some letters that we didn't really need to drop, and removed all the diacritical letters that we kinda needed to determine their pronunciations. Now we have letters that just look weird and sound weird, and letters that the English language would do just fine without. So, for the topic of this video, each of my Jump Scouts will explain 5 of the worst letters in the English alphabet.
Remember that this only applies to English. The letters in this list may have significant value in other languages, and we're excluding vowels because we already need more of them anyway. And no offense to anyone who has any of these letters in their names.
Now we'll hand it over to our Jump Scouts.
Let's kick off this list with the letter J. Did you know that J is the most recent letter added to the Latin alphabet? It evolved from the letter I and was used for Roman numerals that ended with I. In most European languages, the letters I and J have very similar sounds, with J sounding more like a Y and I sounding more like an E. But in English, these two letters sound nowhere close to each other. We just see the letter J as sort of a rip-off from I. Essentially, it's just the letter I with a hook at the bottom, but at least it maintains the J sound before any vowel, unlike G.
Now, let's have a little talk about the letter C. The third letter in the alphabet doesn't have much of a purpose in English. It's one of 2 letters that have hard and soft sounds depending on its position. But even then, both the hard and soft sounds of the letter C already exist in 2 separate letters. If you put C before E, I, or Y, it makes the same sound as the letter S. Otherwise, it makes the same sound as the letter K. What's insulting is that C is a common letter in English, unlike most other Germanic languages. Is English really a Germanic language?
All right, my friends, I'll be discussing the letter X now. X is used for Roman numerals, marking things as incorrect and marking the spot for treasure. It shouldn't be used for words at all. Essentially, X makes the sound of 2 consonants, K and S. I find this letter pretty useless because you can replace it with these 2 consonants and it'll still sound the same, right? Plus, there are hardly any words in English that begin with the letter X, and it wouldn't have much place at the beginning of a word anyway, unlike every other letter.
Next up, we have the letter W. First of all, this is the only letter in English with more than 1 syllable in its name. The name, which is very misleading. It looks more like a double V than a double U. And in English, it's not pronounced like it does in related languages like German and Dutch, like it should given the shape of the letter. I think W would work better as a vowel, like in the Welsh language. Most European languages don't use the letter W, but it's a pretty common letter in English.
Now we've come to a letter that I believe is the worst letter in the English alphabet, and that is the letter Q. This letter just stinks, through and through. It looks odd, and it has no purpose in this language. What's more unsettling is that this letter is dependent on the letter U, which makes us wonder how on earth Q would be pronounced without the U. Is it that Q makes the K sound by itself, or that U suddenly makes the W sound when following Q? Who knows? But perhaps the biggest insult is that Q is only the second least common letter in English behind Z. At least Z has its own pronunciation. This letter should have never existed in English. Don't you agree, guys?
Thanks for watching. What's your least favorite letter in English, or whatever language you speak? Don't you think the letters in this list should be replaced by vowels? Because we could sure use more of them.
I hope you enjoyed. Let us know what you thought about the topic in this video, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Take care, my friends.